Hello and welcome to Open Boosters. We're going to be opening up Legende. It's the Legende of all sets. Craziness. All right, and they are legally playable cards. Craziness. All right, let's go to the floor. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Legende back in action. Then I'll probably talk about the Fireside chat. Yes, indeed. After this. All right, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. All right. There we go. We've got a moss monster who called it moss monster on the top. Alabaster potion. Ah, the life force. We got a brownie, but not the ones you want to eat. These are definitely not ones you want to eat. Well, I mean, if you go hunting for brownies, I guess that's a different story. But I don't recommend it. Then we have our Dread Skeleton, who actually, I believe, qualifies as a zombie. Yes, indeed. Walking Dead. There he is. I like the artwork, though. The artwork's good, too. But it's not as good as the original Dread Skeletons. We've got our Flood. Watch out, Red. Here they come. The water's rising. Then we have our Kobolds. Yes, indeed. We got our Crookshank Kobolds? No, it's not Crookshank. It's don't remember, but they're Kobolds. We got some rust. We got to get that off of there. Oh, yes. All right, wait, hold on. I believe the rare is here. What? I'm probably wrong. We shall see. One of them, it's one way, the other one's the other way. But other than that, there's 4 uncommon, which is fantastic for time, right? Legends. All right, we have gaseous form. Because if you have gas, you're going to have a heart attack. Just saying. No? No? Nothing? We got some Oasis Vultures. Yes, indeed. They're good for picking up the dead and stripping them down to the bone. Yummy, yummy. Some of them actually drop them from my take bones and drop beneath the marrow. But, you know, it's what you got to do when you're dealing with walls of shadows. Yes, indeed. Pick those bones off the walls of shadow. I'm not sure where the bones are, but you know what? Can't really damage them anyway, so don't worry about it. Oh, reset. Nice. That is a great pull for the uncommon section. That is an uncommon. Reset. Bang. Mangle Puff. Man, that's awesome. I love Reset. Reset's so good. Then we got Hammerheim. Because if you're going to get hammered, mirrors will have a Heim. Right? No? Not a thing? Oh, man. Yes. Bloodlust. Oh, my gosh. This is such a go-to card. You can either use it on offense and plink them down, pink on your enemy, or you can play it on yours and just rip them to shreds. I mean, oh my gosh. You know what? Berserk red green. This thing is baller. Oh, Bloodlust. And I love the artwork of Bloodlust. So fantastic. Aaron Maddox. Anson Maddox. Aaron Maddox. Anson Maddox. Fantastic artwork here, dude. Oh my gosh. There it is. Wow. Then we have the card that I can't remember. Awesomeness. Something Druid. Oh, come on. Oh, I can't remember. We'll keep it going. Here's the rare. Yeah! Ramsey's Overdark. And it actually says Ramsey's Overdark. Well, that's crazy. All right. There we go. I mean, he's not a powerful legend, but he's always one that I look at and go, oh my gosh, he's awesome. 2 blue, 2 black for 2. Put him in as your commander and rock and roll. Boom! Boom! And then you find out your other opponent's not playing with creatures. Oh. But, come on. Ramsey's Overdark. Oh my god. There you go. Yes, indeed. I love it. Yes, he's not expensive at all. Not expensive at all. It has nothing to do with that. He's just awesome. Look at that artwork. So good, Richard. Come on now. Oh man. love it. There we go. For me, that's a good pull. For others, not so much. But for me, awesome pull. Oh, man. So good. All right, that's our Legends of. We got to reset here. Got a nice wall of shadows and Walking Dead. Put them together. There you go. We're already start off with our deck. All right, flipping it up. So good. Ramses. Man. And a reset. The reset's actually probably the best card of this from playability standards. Anyways, all right. So, what did we learn? I mean, waited a few days. I mean, y'all saw. Well, you could have seen my opinions on what they were talking about. So, the ballpark of what the Fireside chat was that Magic the Gathering is just fine and players are stupid. Because if they think they're overprinting, they're not. So, players are stupid. And they don't care anymore. They're switching over to Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, and apparently Doctor Who. No, that one I didn't know about, but apparently Doctor Who. So they're flipping gears, and Magic the Gathering is just fine, perfectly just fine as it is, even though sales are down. They don't respond to reason why sales are down because they don't truly understand how sales are down. But for them, the secondary market is nothingness to them. So it does no predictors at all for how they did. And just because of the secondary, they do pre-orders and then they print more, that doesn't mean that they printed too much. They printed to demand based on their knowledge base. If it's requested from them, they print more. So that tells me that they've given up on Magic. They're going to keep it going the way it's going until they can sell the product, until they actually can sell that piece to the company. As it continues to decline. Now we have some uptick in sales on Brothers of War, where it didn't collapse right away, but I don't believe there's a way for them to print more. So this might be the first product that they've actually printed to demand, right? Because it's got the serialized numbers and cards. So it's not that they can stick more in the box, right? For collector's edition at least. So in that case, they can't print, they have to print to demand. So the serialized box numbers was actually going to be beneficial for them because people will now be able to predict if they're serialized numbers, they won't be able to print more. They have to print only X quantity. They can't print any more. And that's actually a good thing, right? Because like with baseball cards, they want to maintain value. So they have these one of ones and that kind of stuff. So they literally can't print any more than what they already have. And that actually keeps the product levels high for people wanting to rebuy so they can reinvest and that kind of stuff so they can set their price. With Wizards of the Coast, they've never actually tried that. And this would be the first product that they've actually attempted to do some kind of serialization of numbers and cards, and you can't print more. So that's actually going to keep their print numbers down, which is actually what they should do. So they can print a demand for collector's edition, and then the people will be able to see whether it's a high demand or not. But not printing more is actually probably the best thing they could have done. Now let's go on to 30th edition. They said that it was great to cut it off, which it didn't matter. So what they're going to do instead, according to what I saw on Rudy's channel, is that they're just going to give away the product they didn't sell for zero cost basis and to VPN stores or whatever they're called. So that technically means that the people that bought something that is worth nothing. So that's the one thing that I took away from that. However, the stores themselves will probably try to sell it for more than that, which, I mean, they'll not more than zero. I mean, they'll probably try to go for the 1,400, 1,200, which appears to be the actual case price of a booster box, the 4 boosters. That seems to be the going for. So they're not going to try to sell any for less. So I don't think people who own the product or purchase the product during the $1,000 need to worry about anything. If you only get 4 of something, you may as well shoot for the moon, because it's not gonna cost you anything to hold on to. So people predicting that just because it's a 0 cost basis to the store means that they might dump it for less than 1,000. I don't see that happening. If you only have 4 of something, chances are you're not going to just dump it to the market. It's only 4. I mean, so even though there's 6,000 people getting it, and there's 4 of them and that kind of stuff, and there's a lot out there, doesn't mean that each individual store is going to say, you know what, let's just dump it for $400. They're not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. They have time. They can hold on to it. They can wait. Any store that does that is a dumbass. I mean, I would just put it at 1,400 and hope for the best, because it's just going to sit on the shelf. And that there's so much less box. You can't get any more. You know, there's not going to be any more. Well, there'll probably be more released later on, because I'm pretty sure they printed more than that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be giving this product at 0 cost basis to the stores. So that being the case, then they might choose to dump it early because they know there's more coming. So my expectation is that they have even more than that, maybe even double. And they wanted to get rid of a lot of it so that there would be some like talk about how these stores have the product and that kind of stuff. But there's probably more out there. That's my expectation. So they'll probably use them for contests or tournaments and that kind of stuff. And as long as the value stays high, by distributing it to a lot of different stores and not just sending it to one, then there's a lot more out there, and that the stores are willing to probably hold on to it for a lot longer and keep the price high. So I think that was actually, from a business perspective, that's a good idea. They're not going to hurt that much, and it's something that they can give to the store and say, hey guys, we still care about you, even though they said they're actually going to give promotional stuff to the stores in the Fireside chat. So I think they might be trying to just keep Magic the Gathering alive a little bit longer while they establish these other products, and hopefully that their customer base will suck it up. So what that means is they don't care about the print run. Now, so if they print a card, boom, they've stated it. If they print a card and it gets expensive, they're going to reprint it. And you know why? It's not to keep prices down. It's to make money. You know, that's why they have the master sets and that kind of stuff. So they don't care about the secondary market, which is not true. What they're doing, what they actually said they're doing, is monitoring demand. And what that means is if this goes high, they reprint the card, right? If they print something, I don't know if this is on the reserve list or not off the top of my head. I'm just grabbing a card off the top of the pile that we have here. So if they decide that that's a high demand product, they will reprint the card. So you know the value of anything they print or anything they have print is something that is not valued by the company itself, right? They want to sell boxes. That's their objective. And you will buy the box. You will buy the box where there's a ton of good cards in there, for sure. Even I would. I'm not stupid. But the thing is, they don't care. They don't want to keep value in the box, and they don't want to keep value in your hands. They talked about the turnover rate, right? So they only keep about 10%. So that is their goal. Now, for most companies, they want everyone to return. They want to produce a product that you will return to. They know how to do it. They even acknowledge how collectibles work. They say it fluctuates in price, but they acknowledge how collectibles work. But they don't want to produce something that's collectible. They want to produce something that makes players leave the game. So what's the number one reason that people leave the game? They can't afford it. The reason they can't afford it is because the prices of the cards all tank as they rotate out of standard, or they rotate out and they collapse the market on rares that currently are great. So that being this case, and since most Magic the Gathering players are intelligent, they choose to only keep the hardcore players, right? And that's the 10%. They only want 10% of the market. They don't want everyone to come in and buy packs. They want you to rotate out. This means they don't want customers to remain in their product field. To me, that's back-asswards for any company to say, yeah, we only want 10%. We don't want 90%. We don't want 50%. We want a majority to leave the game. And so that to me screams volumes of we don't care about the customers. We want new customers. We want to grow the player base. Because when they say grow the player base, what they mean is new customers come in, they get weeded out because they can't afford it, and then that's okay. Because we got to keep 10%. So the 10% are people that will continue to play and not buy stuff from them. Right? They acknowledge that people play Commander and they could play Modern and all that kind of stuff. They still play the game. They're the 10%. They produce master products, and hopefully those 10% will actually buy the product in the future. But they acknowledge that they don't want to keep people around. They want to do nothing to maintain value to keep people around. And that is the strangest thing I've ever heard a company say. They don't come out and directly say it. They just imply it throughout the entire thing that they don't want to keep players. That's, to me, the most bizarre thing. They don't want to keep players. They want to focus on Dungeons and Dragons. They want to focus on Warhammer. They want to focus on the new product Lord of the Rings and Doctor Who to get these up and running because they think they will make the company solvent. Now, the games that they produced back in the day, they say they've never really worked with D&D, and they said it was more popular than Magic. And when you say D&D, most people will understand it, but that's because in the 70s and the 80s and that kind of stuff, they started saying that D&D, and it was on the news that kids were killing themselves and that kind of stuff, and it's demonic and that kind of stuff. And this was actually literally all over the news. Magic the Gathering really hasn't made waves in the news, right? Yes, people say that people were allowing them to play in the schools and that kind of stuff, but it wasn't really newsworthy. D&D was in every single news channel for a long period of time, and that's why people heard of it, right? However, they've produced games before in D&D, like they have actually had D&D MMOs that all sucked. I mean, but they do have Baldur's Gate, and that was actually very successful for them. So they will make money on D&D. This is not a thing that they won't make money on. It's just that if it's executed like the olden days, it'll be good, and then they won't make any money anymore. It's just kind of that simple. We're going to see, they're up to the third print run. That's why they were going, hey, we got a third print run of Warhammer, which again stems the same business model as Magic the Gathering, right? So they produce something, they don't want it to be collectible. They want people to leave the game. They will do that. That's what they're going to do in the future and many years to come. They're going to destroy their own player base. If they think it's a collectible card game, they will destroy it. That is their business model. They don't want to do it like baseball, where they actually keep it. Now, except for this last product line that they put out, they've basically told you, we don't want a collectible card game. They have told you that, and that's why most of the majority of people leave, because of how much it costs, and they can't maintain their value in cards. So, now, reserve list, all day long. Old school cards, they're still good. The prices keep going up. That's why they tried to go after the 30th edition. So, but then they decided, other people pay $1,000, stores pay at $0. That's just weird. So I expected them to have added some cost to it, or just use it for contest winnings and that kind of stuff. It remains to be seen what happens. I don't believe there's going to be any crash now because they've spread the product so far. But it is still a zero cost basis. It is kind of strange that they did that. That's scored to Rudy's channel. But we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, their business model is currently that they only want to keep 10%. Only the people that are die-hard fans. They don't want to keep anybody else. They don't care about their own player base, which is just weird for a company to just come out and say that. Because they said there's no problems. Which doesn't make any sense because of the sales. You can look at the stock market and see the sales of Hasbro and say, you might have a problem. But they do not acknowledge the problem, and they do not acknowledge the secondary market, which is just weird. Most collectible anything would definitely acknowledge both. So that's what you need to understand. I think they're just looking. They're eventually going to look to sell because they don't want to deal with it anymore, and they want to move on. All right, so hit the like button, subscribe, make a comment, and I will talk to you again on the next one.